Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be answering your questions. So I reached out on Twitter and on Reddit to ask, hey guys, is there anything you want to know about me? And you sent through hundreds of questions, some a little bit risque, but most above board, and I look forward to answering them now. So I'm trying to keep the video shorter, so let's just jump in, shall we? But before we do, you probably want to know, who the heck is this guy on the internet and why am I watching his video? Well, my name's Ben and I was raised in a religious cult, otherwise known as Jehovah's Witnesses. I didn't know it was a cult obviously when I was born into it, so even this cute little guy had zero chance. Flash forward 21 years and I moved to Bethel, where I was appointed as an elder at 24. I worked in different departments, I made cult propaganda in the video team. All this to say I was basically a priest inside a cult compound. Speaking of this compound, Bethel is where you work, eat and sleep inside one large university-like campus. You barely interact with the outside world once inside. I originally started at the British Bethel and was then transferred to the Central European headquarters in Germany, all in all for 6 years, and yes, I had to learn German. I woke up, made a solid plan for leaving, and left 9 months ago. Cult's gonna cult though, so because I left, all of my former friends and family, including parents, no longer speak to me or even acknowledge my existence. Yay! I'm doing well though. I moved back to the UK, studied university, and I'm loving my new life. Let's get on with it, shall we? Let's have a look at the first question. So I'm on Twitter first, and Riley, friend of the channel, asks, is the alcohol culture in Bethel really as bad as everyone says? Good question. It depends. So it really varies country to country. So like in Britain, there's not a lot of alcohol drinking. And by that, I mean the culture in England, because the lads drink quite a lot, witnesses tend to shy away from that. Let me give you an example. So in the Britain branch, you cannot buy alcohol in the Bethel shop. And if someone saw me with a crate of beer in Bethel, they might ask, hey, what's going on? Where are you going? How many people? It's just for you? Is that all that beer just for you? They would kind of get up in your business. In Germany, there's beer, tons of beer in the Bethel shop, and no one would question you having 3 crates of beer walking around campus, let's say, in Bethel. So, yeah, it varies greatly. The strong spirits, I'd say people do drink, but I would say it's a bit overhyped. If I'm being completely honest, from my experience, I would say it's overhyped because people think that every night Bethelites are just getting completely smashed, and that's just not the case. But there is definitely drinking, and potentially I'd say a little bit more than the congregations outside. Take from that what you will. What's the most petty thing you or someone you know was counselled over at Bethel? The most petty thing I was counselled on. I mean, there's so many. Okay, so 2 that just spring straight to mind. I went on holiday with my family, and this is a classic, ex-Jehovah's Witness beard, but I grew like I'm going to say long stubble, and in the holiday pics that I posted on Instagram at the time, I had this long stubble. I came back to Bethel, and my overseer said that it didn't look good. Not only does it not look good, like, spiritually for a Jehovah's Witness, but he says it just straight up doesn't look good. Like, it looks real bad. All your pictures look bad because of it. I was like, harsh.
I didn't appreciate it then. I don't appreciate it now.
And then he was like, yeah, and your dad had it as well, and he didn't look good either. None of you look good. I had a bad relationship with that person, and that did not help things. Yeah, so that was just a strange thing I got cancelled on, because it really, I'm on holiday in where were we? Tenerife. Another thing, same person, but cancelled me through someone, which was dumb. They told me that I looked at my phone too much while I was working, which sounds potentially like a valid criticism. However, that same person had asked me to test a phone system, so I had to be on my phone to test if I was getting phone calls. At the same time, it was the only way to get Bethel mail was through your personal mobile phone. So my mail and phone was all done from my smartphone, and I got cancelled for looking too much at my smartphone. Real dumb. And the worst bit about that was I heard through someone else that my overseer was mad about it. A year later, through someone else, he counsels me. Like a different overseer says, your overseer has told me to tell you. And it was just so dumb. That person, that overseer in Bethel in the shipping department, one of the worst people I've ever met in my entire life. And that is really honest.
You are not nice.
He is the worst. I know many people who got sent out of Bethel because of him, who left Bethel because of him. He made the whole environment toxic, and that department really probably still suffers to this day because of it. So, thinking of you, shipping team. Anyway, that's enough about that. I've got a million questions. So, do people at Bethel sign any kind of legal confidentiality agreements for the work they do? If so, at what level? What is the most petty conflict you experienced in Bethel? That's from Ron Pimo. Yes, Bethelites sign technically a non-disclosure agreement. However, from my understanding of the law,
Look, buddy, I know a lot about the law and various other lawyerings. I'm well educated, well versed.
a non-disclosure agreement needs to tell you exactly what the consequences are for breaking the non-disclosure agreement. And in the Bethel non-disclosure agreement, it basically just says we'll terminate your Bethel status, and I think maybe congregation repercussions. And so as a result, it basically has no actual standing in the real world. It just means that they can come after you spiritually, let's say, if you do something wrong. I honestly think it's kind of more there to scare you at the beginning, to make it feel more cool than it is. Because if you're doing stuff that getting you kicked out of Bethel, more than likely you're on the road to leaving, and that agreement doesn't hold any standing then. So it's very strange, but yes, technically you do sign confidentiality agreements. Okay, did you come out before escaping the religion? From Holy Fade? No, because for a million reasons. I want to do a video on this really, but I had a very specific plan on how I was going to leave and how to do it smoothly, or as smoothly as possible, and that really helped me. And that plan involved basically keeping things going as long as possible and then cutting as quick as possible. So no one knew or I spoke to anyone. I had one friend that I won't go into too much detail, but who woke up with me. They knew, but apart from that one person, no, it was all post leaving. Next question. Oh, there's so many. When visiting congregations, did you feel superior to the brothers because you were, after all, a Bethelite? Did you play pranks on any Bethel newbies? Are there special bunkers under Bethel for when the tribulation Armageddon strikes? I was wondering where that was going. Special bunkers, no. Play any pranks on newbies? No. Bethelites are quite nice, actually real nice to new people, because everyone knows how crappy it is. So new people, whether they're excited to be there or whether they hate it, you'll get understanding and compassion from Bethelites. It's the long termers you got to watch out for. When visiting, did you feel superior? Yes, basically. Yeah, because especially as a Bethel elder, it's like everything that, even when you're visiting a congregation, that body of elders more than likely knows less than you. In fact, definitely knows less than you about the organization, probably about procedures or how things are done. They don't know service committee, etc., etc. So yeah, there's definitely a sense of superiority. I don't know, I couldn't speak for any sisters or ex women from Bethel, or ex Bethel women. But as a brother, and especially as an appointed brother, which for anyone who doesn't know, basically is kind of like a priest, let's say, in Jehovah's Witnesses, you definitely feel superior being in Bethel, in that complex. Next, I'm skipping some, I'm so sorry. I always wondered, at Bethel, you all eat together the same things at the same time. Is there a major toilet rush hour? Actually, not a question, just fascinated by this digestive communion. Interesting. Is there a toilet rush? No, but that's mainly so it depends on the branch, really. But in Germany, you eat, or oh, it's so complicated. This will take a long time to explain, but let's simplify it and basically say you eat all together in the dining room, and then most people, after 20 minutes or so, head off to their individual rooms. And obviously, you have your own facilities there. And there's also plenty of like public, freely available toilets. There's probably one, I'm going to say, every 250 meters, there'll be a toilet. So a public one that gets cleaned by housekeepers. It's so unnecessary. Anyway, so no, there isn't. But interesting question. Thanks for that. Are you really going to be making a video?
How rude.
I'm trying. I have university, if you didn't know. So for the past 9 months or so, or 6 months, I don't know how long it's been. I've been really focusing on university, and that's always going to take priority over this. Unfortunately, yeah. So there will be some gaps, especially September onwards to kind of May, where I'm not doing so much. But just bear with me. That's life. Did you have to watch the video that was shown in Pillowgate when you first arrived at Bethel? This is really interesting because obviously as a witness inside Bethel, you have no idea what's going on with the apostates on the outside. So I had no idea that this had leaked and this was a big deal. Yes, we did have to watch it, and it was a massive deal. I'm going to say probably there wasn't such a big event in Bethel since the legal team came round with that infamous, Satan's coming for you. Keep documents in not check and delete them when we say. After that, we had this big Pillowgate. And I say these are big events in Bethel because every single human who works in Bethel, which is a compound for Jehovah's Witness higher ups, let's say, inside Bethel, every single Bethelite has to go. So this is mandatory, and there's very few things that are outside of your regular schedule that happens each week that are mandatory, that are for every Bethelite, no exceptions, whether you're sick or not. But anyway, that video, yes, the one so brothers and sisters got separated, so all of the women in Bethel went to one room to watch the video, which brothers shouldn't watch, I guess.
Dear sisters, you need some assistance. Please, avoid short skirts or dresses above the knee, tight-fitting, revealing, low-cut, or otherwise immodest clothing. You must recognize that generally, men are more affected by the desire of the eyes as respects physical attraction. If a couple are courting and become passionately inflamed, and he lies on top of his girlfriend, and they even with clothes on, such conduct might be a basis for judicial action. We pray for Jehovah's continued blessing on you.
And all the brothers, all the men went to a different, larger room, obviously, because there's loads more brothers, to watch the brothers one. And if you don't know, this video that was shown was basically saying, look, there's lots of Bethelites who are horny and there's been lots of problems, so watch yourself.
Here at Bethel, we have some of the most outstanding young men in the organization. Some outfits are designed to feminize a man's appearance, as homosexuals try to do, especially displaying the buttocks and Why? Because it makes it harder to tell the difference between a homosexual and a heterosexual man, making homosexuals blend in. They come to see it as normal and acceptable. Say a brother wears an undergarment that's so tight it rubs his as he moves around. Suppose a brother starts rubbing his against a pillow. At one point, one asks the other if he has ever woken up with their conversation can arouse desires in them, even though they're the same sex. Could you have been sleeping in a position that stimulated you, such as with a blanket or pillow held tightly between your legs. But if you find yourself struggling with same-sex desires, it would be wise to honestly examine whether you need to make adjustments in your conduct with other brothers. Humbly acknowledge before Jehovah that you need his help to fight wrong desires. Obeying him will make you happy.
I'm sure, for lots of people on the outside, it was hilarious and like shows how controlling the cult is. But maybe just my personal spin or my personal feelings coming into it, I feel really sad whenever people talk about that video, because it was really difficult for me, because they talk a lot in that video about homosexuality and how you have to be on guard for it, watch out for people, don't get close to people, very, very homophobic.
Homosexuality is unholy and repugnant to Jehovah, and he will not tolerate it among his dedicated servants.
And that's really what people were talking about afterwards, is, the gays and watching out, and like people weren't hugging each other after a while, brothers, after that video. Everyone got really touchy. And as a kind of suppressed gay person, that was really difficult. Not because I was doing anything, but just because, you're having to hide who you are anyway. And now it felt like everyone was like looking out for signs. And it just made my life so much more difficult. And so I feel for new Bethelites. Every new Bethelite has to watch that video now on their own, or when they come into Bethel. And imagine you're, suppressing feelings, and then you have to watch that video. It's difficult. And especially at the time when everyone's watching it in the same room at the same time. I mean, I'm trying not to sweat, it's very difficult. Yes, we did have to watch it, is the short answer. Do the GB, which is governing body members, that's the higher ups for Jehovah's Witnesses, members, or Bethelites, know that they are not the one true religion and are running things like a business, or do they actually believe it like most witnesses? Obviously, everyone's going to have a different take on this. My personal feelings are, yes, everyone inside believes it 100%. The only question marks, I would say, are potentially the helpers, because what a lot of people don't understand, they throw a lot of shade and attack the governing body members, and I get it, it's an easy target and they are ultimately the ones responsible for a lot of the pain. However, they're very, very, very old, and if you meet one, you realize they're very old. I mean, they just really are like looking forward to paradise, like a typical old witness who is kind of losing the plot. The helpers are the ones with all the power, who feel superior, who are really making the decisions, and they're much younger and I would say are much more likely to kind of be mentally out but feed on the power. That's my take, and that's what I hold to, but each to their own. Do you know of any extra benefits GB members get? Do they get tailors or a spending budget of sorts, or is it simply a matter of people treating them like they're holy? Ooh, this feeds into a long video I want to do on money in Bethel, but basically, no, they're going to get the exact same as everyone else in terms of money direct from Bethel. However, Bethel have lots of systems that kind of work on an expense basis, so you can kind of just expense things and that will get reimbursed, and that gets taken full advantage of if you're in a position of power. On the one hand, no, they're keeping it exactly the same for everyone, but on the other hand, they have access to more money, let's say, and also obviously because of their position they get a lot of gifts.
Let's see what you got.
You smell that? What is that?
What?
What's that smell?
A cologne?
No.
Opportunity.
No. Money.
Oh, okay.
I smell money.
Okay.
The more popular you are in Bethel, the more gifts you get sent, and that's the way it works. Bethel was painted as an ideal dream career when I was young, for obvious reasons. Did you feel the same? Yeah. Well, as a Jehovah's Witness, I knew that was the ideal path going forward. Like, that's the creme de la creme of being a Jehovah's Witness, is being a Bethelite. However, that's not anything I ever wanted. if you watch my Why I Left Jehovah's Witnesses video, I kind of explained that I never wanted to go to Bethel. It wasn't something I wanted. So yes, it was ideal for Jehovah Witness, generic person A, but it wasn't for me until I ended up there. Were sports verboten at Bethel, or were you able to watch soccer matches, etc.? Any pools or betting? Betting, no, not really. Everyone's kind of watching out for wrongdoing, and you're going to get reported for things, so no. Soccer matches, yes, and obviously Germany, England, the branches I was in, huge soccer countries, and that was talked about and watched. Yeah, I was never in that kind of community or that group, so I couldn't speak to if things ever got out of hand or anything, but yeah, totally allowed, just like witness culture. Did the secret library you had access to contain any unusual non-JW books? There were quite a lot of non-JW books. Watched the video on the database. Yeah, I can't remember them. Some of them were unusual, but nothing like, oh my goodness, you need to know about this book being in there or anything like that. Did you feel at home in Bethel? Yeah, I mean, you live there. That is where I spent the majority of 6 years of my life, especially during the lockdown years. You are literally confined to that area. So yeah, it totally feels like home. It didn't feel like a uni accommodation or like, you know, a home away from home. That was where I lived. Potentially that's where you die. I mean, like literally that's where people go. In the good old days, when you went to Bethel, that was your job for life. Now they get rid of you before you start aging and they have to take care of you. But yeah, it felt totally like at home. So is Jake really as annoying as he seems? Yes. If you don't know, I do a podcast with Jake from the Alt Worldly channel. We talk about Jehovah's Witness stuff and basically anything that comes to mind when we're recording. So check out our podcast. How are you finding it living as an out gay dude? Curious about your experience with gay world. Gay world.
It's a gay world. Everywhere you look, you see a gay boy, gay girl, hey girl.
And community. Ups and downs with being with other queer folk after getting out. Whoa, what a big question. How are you finding it? Honestly, that's probably the one thing that's been the most difficult. Not in, you know, people being accepting or anything. That's obviously way easier than I anticipated. But myself, like, I was talking to my therapist about this. While I was still in therapy, I've been signed off because apparently I win. I win. I'm done with therapy and they're happy. So amazing. But anyway, when I was in therapy, I said to my therapist, I think I'm the world's most homophobic homosexual, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I have lots of weird feelings about that world, as you put it, and that community. And I'm trying to work on that and progress in my feelings and emotions. But yeah, obviously on the whole, it's been great and amazing. And it's so amazing, that feeling of not having to lie. It's still amazing, whether it's, you know, with your feelings towards the truth or homosexuality or just what films and what you're up to, what are you doing today. You don't have to lie. Or put a good spin on it, or say why you weren't on ministry. It's amazing. It's one of the best feelings about being out. So yeah, ups and downs, but it's getting better and it's not bad. It's just challenging. Okay, that looks like all the ones on Twitter I'm going to answer. So listen, it turns out you've actually sent so many questions. The video's gotten so long that I'm going to split it into two, just to try and keep things nice and short. People tell me they like shorter videos. So we're going to do that. And that means that you can't get mad at me if I haven't answered your question yet, because the answer's probably coming, hopefully. And yeah, save that for the next video, all of the hate. And in this one, just nothing but love, nothing but love. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks for your questions. Hope you enjoyed the answers and insights. And I catch you in the next one.